Welcome back to another video. I'm Doliwhop, and today we're back to making some Teams Redone videos. Today's an interesting take for the ATR verse. What if the game protagonists were in the anime? Now, we've already had a bunch in there. Not counting the obvious ones, we've seen some versions of the game protagonists appear in the anime with Jimmy, Lyra, and Marina. Lots of Johto ones, huh? On the flip side, we've had glimpses of Brendan, Lucas, and even Ethan in the movies. Seriously, Ethan got 2 appearances. That's pretty wild. So today I'm going to go over an assortment of the game protagonists, explain their roles in the story, and give out what teams they'd have. Let's get started. Kanto! We have the obvious pick in green/leaf. I'm gonna call her green as that's what I call her in canon. It fits with what I'm thinking about for her. As a character, we've had the manga version of green and the Let's Go version of green, among others. For this green, she's gonna be a bit of a wild child. I think she's grown up in Palette with Gary and Ash befriending both. She serves as a second rival to the both of them, only on the more playful side. That won't mean she won't kick their ass though. She's weird, but both boys call her friend anyways. She sort of bridges their rivalry together so it's not just they're completely antagonistic to each other all the time. She'll appear throughout the region like any other rival would. Ideally, Gary would do this as well and actually face Ash in Kanto, but we can't get everything we want. But we still have green for him to consistently run into at least. Onto her team. If you've seen the Rivals video, you know I made Richie the trainer who got the Charmander before Ash. Gary got Squirtle, which means green gets Bulbasaur. I don't really like this one, as I love her Blastoise in the manga and would love to even switch it up and give her Charmander to fit her fiery personality, but it is what it is. Her team's gonna be Venusaur, Primeape, Clefable, Gengar, Ninetales, and Kingler. Primeape fits her personality to a T, being just as wild and crazy as she is. Clefable, Gengar, and Ninetales serve as references to her in-game and shorts teams, and Kingler is just a physically powerful water type that isn't something like Gyarados. Like, I think I could give her Gyarados, it kind of fits the bill of what I'm going for, but again, I didn't want to do a conventional pick like that. I thought Kingler was much more interesting. I feel like we don't get enough Kingler in the anime, and that's kind of a shame. I've repeated this a few times already, but Green is a wild and crazy battling fanatic. Fighting and becoming stronger are on the front of her mind at all times. So she has a team that fits her battle-heavy nature. Now, I did think about giving her the personality of Green from the Adventures manga, as I love her character, but she was molded into that with her backstory, and that's way too much to try and inject into the anime and wouldn't fit at all. So I think this Inosuke Kenpachi of a character is fun. On to Johto with Silver. Okay, Silver isn't a protagonist per se, but I'm kind of using it as a broad term here. Plus, I don't really have enough of the actual in-game rivals to make another rivals video, because either they're already in the show or Ash has plenty of rivals anyways, and we do not need to add more. So yeah, we're doing Silver. Yeah, he'll still be Silver and be a pseudo rival of Ash's. I say that because Silver's goal isn't about winning the league, but taking down Team Rocket. I'd say his entire story is basically the same from the game. The only thing I do is give him his manga counterpart's personality. It's similar, but more tolerable. It allows him to gain a begrudging respect for Ash over time instead of just calling him a loser or something. It's really important for him to be legally distinct from Paul and Gary, so when we get both of them, it doesn't feel like Silver is the diet version of either. Silver being in the story means the Team Rocket arc from the games would get a bigger focus, but I don't see why we wouldn't include it. Johto's anime really has nothing going on until we get to the Whirl Islands, and it's just a slog to get through. I mean, I love Johto, but holy shit, even their B stories of like, oh, Pokemon of the day, even most of those aren't really that interesting. I mean, have you seen the Ledian episode? How about the Sunflora episode? Yeah, those are some winners. Those are the episodes people look back on and are like, oh my god, this was my childhood. Anyway, Silver's team is Sneasel, Murkrow, Feraligatr, Kingdra, Crobat, and Nidoking. Sneasel, Murkrow, Feraligatr, and Kingdra are ripped straight from the manga team. Crobat has to be here, as Silver learning the power of friendship is what leads it to become a Crobat. Nidoking was picked as a representation of his parents. I do subscribe to the theory that Ariana is his mom, and we know Giovanni is his dad. Nidoking serves as a representation of the two of them, as Ariana uses mostly poison Pokemon, and Giovanni is a ground specialist. I wanted to give him his red Gyarados from the manga, but Lance caught it, so I thought I'd let it be. Also, he already has 2 water types as it is. A third, he doesn't need that. Hoenn's here, and holy shit, Ash can actually get a rival for this season. Brendan/Ruby is here, and this was rough. Ruby from Avengers is my favorite Avengers character of all time. I love that he loves cute Pokemon, I love that he loves contests, I love that he's secretly a badass, and I love his team. Delcatty is one of my favorites, so that earns even more points. However, making him into contests and rivaling May is a waste, as she already has a lot of good rivals. So, I have an idea. Brendan is the son of Professor Birch, who is off on his journey to learn more about Pokemon and training. Rather than choose one or the other, he's going to compete in both contests and gym battles. Sort of like a pre-Nando. But here's how we make him legally distinct. His main focus is gym battles, but he competes in contests as he thinks they're a valuable way to refine your techniques and learn more about the care for your Pokemon. He's essentially trying to take the best parts of battling and contest and refine them to make him stronger. This way I keep the contest angle I love, but still give Ash a rival. He'll appear throughout the region challenging Ash, but will be on the friendlier side. He can be a bit of a prick, but he's more good-natured about it. Since we would have just come off Gary and Silver, I think having Brendan be nicer is a better thing, especially so it doesn't feel repetitive when we get Paul. Like, I think one of the best things about Paul is that his attitude was so radically different from the previous rivals we just gotten. Like, I mean, we had Gary, yeah, he was a prick, but by Johto, he was nicer to Ash. And then he had all those one-off league rivals that were nice to him pretty much, so yeah, prick. Anyways, for Brendan's team, it will be Sceptile, Gardevoir, Mightyena, Shiftry, Milotic, and Metagross. Since Ash got Swampert, I had to give Brendan Sceptile, even if I feel like they should be reversed. Gardevoir, Mightyena, and Milotic are kept from the Adventures team. I also think they work well, as Gardevoir is a Pokemon we see a lot of, but I feel like it's rarely seen in a battling position. Like, the only time I really imagine Gardevoir battling is with Diantha. Other than that, it's usually kind of a side Pokemon, or it's a contest Pokemon. Now, Mightyena and its line are used as Team Aqua and Magma bad guy fodder, so seeing a well-trained one on the good side would be refreshing. Milotic, beyond being a reference to the manga, works with Metagross. Metagross would serve as a Pokemon to rival Ash's Salamence, giving both boys the Pseudo of the region. And with Milotic on his team, Brendan has both Hoenn champion aces, which is a fun reference. And Shiftry is there to reference the movie scenes Brendan briefly appeared in. I still wanted to reference that since it was fun to see. On an important note, Ash would lose to Brendan in the league instead of Tyson. Why? Well, it leads into Sinnoh. If you don't know, Hoenn did a great job of establishing things for Sinnoh. I remember distinctly, Ash had this one conversation near the end with Drew about how he's never had a rival that has challenged his ideals before like Drew does with May. And then we got Paul. So I wanted to do something similar here. Ash in Hoenn was kind of a prick. He didn't really go to May's contest, usually showed up for the end, and focused more on training, which in a weird way kind of makes sense because this is the first time Ash has actually sat down and really trained his Pokemon. I mean, he doesn't really focus too much on it in Johto and Kanto, as he just kind of skims by traveling. With being defeated by Brendan, it will serve as a teaching moment where Ash learns he can't just train and get stronger that way. It's about taking in everything around him and learning from others. That's why when he gets a Sinnoh, he's so much more receptive to Dawn's techniques and actually watching her perform. Speaking of Sinnoh, let's go there now. Lucas. Probably my second favorite Avengers character, which means we're gonna do him justice. Lucas's team is Torterra, Bastiodon, Licky Licky, Mamoswine, Dusknoir, and Rhyperior. So if you haven't read the manga, Lucas, or Adia in that case, was known to have his team full of slower and bulkier Pokemon. He wasn't the fastest guy himself either. However, he could take a hit, so I wanted his team to reflect that. It works in opposition to Ash, who prefers a faster, more attack-focused style. However, Lucas won't be a rival here. I think he'll be a soft rival in a regard, where he'll face Ash and Paul on occasion, but he's not the main focus. In the anime, he'll be Rowan's research assistant, like the companion in the game. He's going around and studying all the plot-focused areas that involve Palkia, Dialga, and the Lake Spirits. It's a good role that keeps him involved without making him too much of a focus. For his team, Torterra, Mamoswine, Bastiodon, and Licky Licky are all references to the manga. Rhyperior I gave him because I think it fits into the trio with Magmortar and Electivire of Gen 1 Pokemon who get Gen 4 evolutions. That way we have Rhyperior acting as a Pseudo third rival to Paul's Electivire and Ash's Magmortar. Lastly is Dusknoir, who I consider one of the best parts of the team. Dusknoir is there because it is a slow and bulky Pokemon, yes, but it also has access to Trick Room. I thought a battle where someone like Conway tries to take advantage of Lucas's lack of speed would be funny when Lucas whips out Trick Room to turn his team of tanks into rockets. Moving along, Unova time, and we're talking about Hilbert. So if you watched my Rivals video, you'll remember I mentioned Ash could have lost the Unova League if he had a proper rival in this verse. Let's be honest, the black and white rivals aren't touching this version of Ash unless he's regressed to an idiot. Because in my verse, Ash won't automatically reset the minute he gets to black and white. He'll actually be the same guy who just won the Sinnoh League in this verse. And that's where Hilbert comes in. Hilbert's team is Samurott, Braviary, Galvantula, Gigalith, Scrafty, and Heatmore. The only person I can see beating Ash in Unova is someone on his level, and I think that will be Hilbert. Unlike Paul, who stood as Ash's opposite, Hilbert will be very similar to Ash. They're both Pokemon-loving guys who want to be the very best. Hilbert will be a reflection of Ash and possibly who he used to be. Like, I'm not sure of the arc I'd give Ash in this region after winning Sinnoh, but it could be he's a little overconfident and cocky. Not to an obnoxious degree, since he got over that after Hoenn. But if I just won a league, I wouldn't be intimidated by anything this region has to throw at me. So in a weird way, his loss to Hilbert will sort of sneak up on him. Like, he probably would have been dominating the region and doing well, not realizing that Hilbert, who started as a new trainer, was catching up to him. Hilbert will be the reality check to show Ash just because he's won doesn't mean he's top dog. He'll force Ash to smarten up, which leads to his victory in Kalos. As for Hilbert's team, Samurott is what he'll get, while Bianca got Embor and Trip got Superior. Braviary and Galvantula are representations of his manga team. Gigalith I chose based on this art of Hilbert in the battle subway. Scrafty was picked because I thought its headstrong approach and attitude fit Hilbert. Heatmore is a bit of an odd choice. I think it's really underused and undervalued in Unova. I think a Darmanitan probably fits him better, but Ash has one, so that's out. Plus, I think every trainer needs a Pokemon that's not 100% their fighting style. Heatmore will be that difference maker, as it can't just go out and tank hits like most of his team. And that's our trainers. Wait, where's the rest of them? Well, my plan for this video was to do the ones I had actual ideas for and not just blanket cover them all. I'll be honest, trying to include every game trainer is a lot. Some of them just sort of bloat the series to the point where they're really unnecessary. Take Sun and Moon for example. There are like 50 million characters in that. Ash doesn't really need Selene or Elio's rivals there. Gladian and Guzma work, and if you want a third, just make Hao more prominent. Callum and X and Y is definitely not needed with Sword and, Alon. For Journeys, sure, the Sword and Shield trainers could show up, but again, why? Ash's main focus is on Leon, so anyone else is just cannon fodder. And if you really wanted to give him more rivals, Hop, Marnie, and Bede would be vastly more interesting. If you want more, maybe I'll do a part 2 where I cover some of these and include guys like Ethan into this. Maybe in part 2, I'll take some of the trainers that showed up in the series like Jimmy and Barry and give them a fresh coat of paint. For now, this one was about the no-shows. Regardless, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Subscribe, follow me on Twitter for updates, and I'll see you all next time.